and welcome to Oh Hello Maker. Whether this is your first box or you've been crafting along with me for a while now, you're going to absolutely love today's tutorial, my little ruffle purse. Now, I don't want you to be worried if you've never put a zip in anything before or you haven't even used a sewing machine before. I'm going to be showing you what to do every step of the way. Now, every sewing machine is different, so I do recommend you looking through the manual just so you get your head round setting it up before you start. You could even have a practice on some spare fabric first too. Your kit contains more fabric than you need to make just the one purse, so why not make more? Or you could even make some matching scrunchies. I really hope you enjoy creating your little ruffle purse. If you do post anything on social, please do tag me at OhHelloMaker and use the hashtag OhHelloMakerBox. And if you have any questions at all about this tutorial or indeed the subscription on my kits, please find me on Instagram, OhHelloMaker, and send me a DM on there. Right, let's get sewing. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to cut your templates to use on your fabric. So you want to cut a 12.5 centimetre by 16.5 centimetre. That's template 1. Then you want to cut an 8 by 16.5 centimetre. That's template 2. Then a 4.5 by 16.5 centimetre, and that will be template 3. Now with the floral fabric right side down, place on template 1 and draw around with the dressmaker's pencil you've got in your box. Then this will be the back piece. Repeat with template 2 and 3. Then these will become the front 2 pieces. Now you want to take your spotty fabric and you want to cut out 2 pieces using template 1. These will make up the lining of your purse. You'll probably need to position your template just slightly away from the edge of the fabric and cut out, preferably with fabric scissors, but a sharp pair of scissors will be fine too. You now want to measure and mark a 40 by 10 centimetre strip of the spotty fabric. So you can do this using a measuring tape and just mark 40 centimetres and then measure down 10 centimetres. Then join up the marks and then cut it out. And this will be your ruffle piece. And now you want to cut out 2 pieces from interfacing using template 1. Then these are all the pieces that you should have. It's best to give them all a quick press on an iron. With the strip of spotty fabric, you want to fold it in half so the wrong sides are together and then iron along the crease to make it nice and crisp. Now I have a confession here. We went slightly wrong while filming the making of the ruffle, so you're going to have to follow along with my voice and I hope this makes sense. Okay, so first of all you want to get the 8 by 16.5 piece of floral fabric right side up. Then place the spotty strip that you've just ironed on top with the raw edges aligned and an overhang of about 3 centimetres just to the left. Then pick the strip up and fold it over slightly, roughly about 1 centimetre, and secure it with one of your pins. Continue folding and pinning ruffles until you have made 7. You can always unpin and start again if they're looking a bit uneven. Now you can either use the thread that's included in your kit, which is blue, or if you've got a bright colour cotton thread, you might prefer to use that. Now you want to tack all along that edge and make sure you stitch through each individual ruffle. Then take all the pins out. Now you want to take your small piece, which is the 4.5 by 16.5 centimetre piece of floral fabric, and you want that fabric right side facing down. Place it on top of the ruffle and pin in place. Then tack as we did before. And finally remove all of the pins. Then if we lift this up, you'll see how the front of the purse is taking shape already. Now it's time to go over to your sewing machine. Now all sewing machines are different, so it's best that you follow the manual that came with your machine to help you set it up. But you want to use the blue thread that's been included in your kit. And of course you'll need a bobbin in there as well, but that usually comes with the sewing machine. So you'll see here, we're threading it through, bringing it down and winding it round. And then you want to take the end of that thread and poke it through the eye of the needle. It can be a little bit fiddly, so we're just placing in the bobbin just underneath, wrapping the thread around, and then placing on the lid. And then snip off any excess and set your machine to a straight stitch. You want to lift the foot up at the back. That's the little foot. You want to place your sandwiched fabric underneath, place the foot down so it's secure, and have a look for the 1 centimetre seam allowance mark on your sewing machine. Use the hand wheel to bring the needle down, then you want to slowly press on the pedal and feed the fabric through. Go as slow as you like, just make sure you keep the fabric lined up with that 1 centimetre mark. Keep it as straight as possible. Then once you've come to the end, lift up the foot, pull the fabric away and cut off the thread. There you go, you'll see it's really taking shape now already. Use your scissors to snip off the tacking thread now. You can have a little neaten. You can also chop off that excess bit of spotty fabric that was hanging over the edge. Now we want to press the seams. So you want to have the fabric right side down. Then you can start opening them out with your fingers first, pressing down all the way along, just so it's ready to go over with the iron. And that will give it a lovely crisp finish. Then turn the fabric over, pull down the ruffle, and then iron along that edge too. This will just make sure everything sits really nicely and really neatly. Okay, now it's time for the interfacing. So you'll notice on your interfacing there will be a sort of matte side and a side that looks slightly shiny. That shiny side is the glue, so you want to have that facing down onto your fabric. So place that on the back and then iron in place. Then repeat this with the other piece of floral fabric, ironing it onto the back. And now it's time to attach the zip. This is the fun part. Okay, so with your fabric right side up, so ruffle side up, place your zip along the top edge of the fabric, right side down, so upside down. Make sure the zip overhangs slightly either side of the fabric. Then add a piece of the spotty lining fabric right side down. Pin this on top all the way through the zip and the floral fabric underneath. Finally, tack along this edge. And then remove all of the pins. And back over to the sewing machine. So at this point, if your machine has a zipper foot, you can attach that by taking off the other foot and replacing it with a zipper foot. If your machine doesn't have a zipper foot, don't worry. We didn't have one. we simply took the foot off entirely and used the machine without a foot. So carefully remove the foot, line up your zip, use the hand wheel to bring the needle down into the fabric. I'm just going to call it the plastic foot for now. Just lower the plastic foot so it lines up right up next to the zip. You want to line it up as close to the zip as possible. Then slowly press down on the pedal and feed the fabric through. Again, going as slow or as fast as you like. Then stitch all the way to the end, lift up the plastic foot, bring up the needle and cut off the thread. Now we're going to do something called finger pressing here. So fold over your spotty fabric and use your thumb to press right along the edge so it's nice and crisp. We don't use an iron at this point because the zip is made of plastic and would melt, so don't be tempted to use the iron. Now pop the foot back onto your machine and with the ruffle side up, guide the needle in using the hand wheel, then bring the foot back down so that right edge of the foot is right up next to the zip. And then top stitch all along that edge. And then when you come to the end, lift up the needle, lift up the foot and snip off the threads. And there you go, your first top stitch. Now you want to take your floral back piece, right side facing up, then place the ruffle piece on top, ruffle side down. Make sure you line up the edge of the zip with the top edge of the floral back piece. Then take your second spotty lining piece, position on top, right side down. Again, lining it up with the top edge of that zip. And then start pinning all of those pieces together. Once you've pinned it, you guessed it, you're tacking along that edge all the way to the end and then take out all of the pins. So you can really see the purse taking shape now with those spotty those spotty lining pieces and then the outside back pieces. So we're going to be going along that back piece now over on the sewing machine. So we're going to be taking off the foot again and either attaching a zipper foot or just using the machine's plastic foot. Line up the sandwiched fabric, then guide your needle down, bring your plastic foot down and then press gently on the pedal and guide the fabric through. You want to be really close up to the zip. You can feel the edge of the teeth with your finger and that will help you guide it through. Then when you come to the end, lift up the needle, the foot and snip off the thread. So we're going to be doing our top stitch again. So if you're following along with the printed instructions, we're going to be repeating steps 14 and 15 to finger press and top stitch. So make sure your fabrics are in line, and then finger press along. Then with the foot back on your machine and with ruffle side up, guide the needle in, then bring the foot back down to line up against the zip. Then use this as your guide to do your top stitch. Okay, this is really important. You want to unzip the zipper halfway, because eventually when we're going to be doing our turning through, you'll need that hole in the zip to pull it right side out. Fold over the floral fabric, making sure that the two edges are level, and then pin the two pieces together. Now you want to do the same with the spotty fabric. This time the fabric doesn't line up completely, but don't worry, that's fine, that's normal. Just make sure that the fabric is nice and flat. So there will be a slight overhang of one of the pieces, and that's fine, so don't panic, you haven't cut one too small. Just make sure that you pin through those two pieces. Now you want to pin the zip together at each end to prevent it from moving around. And make sure the zip is straight with the teeth on top of each other. And now you want to tack around the entire piece. So all around the spotty fabric. And then all around the floral fabric. Then take out all of the pins. Okay, we're back over at the sewing machine again. So place your fabric on the machine so that the teeth of the zip are facing towards you. Lower the needle down and the foot, and then using your 1 centimetre seam allowance and holding the zip together with one hand, you want to guide the fabric through nice and slowly. When you get to the zip, you want the teeth sitting right on top of each other. Now start by running the needle into the zip tape, slowly using the pedal, and then stop when you get close to the teeth. You don't want the needle to go into the teeth, otherwise it will break. So, by getting over this, you want to push the fabric through by hand and wind the hand wheel on the side to bring the needle down and stitch over the teeth. Then once you're over them, carry on stitching through the spotty fabric using the pedal. All the way to that end. Lift the foot and then turn it round. Now we want to leave roughly a 5 centimetre gap along this short edge. This will be for turning through later, so don't forget this step. So you can either make a little mark using the dressmaker's pencil or do it by eye. So start stitching the normal way. Then when you get to the piece where you want to make a gap, simply lift the needle out, lift the foot, and then push the fabric through to create a gap. Then place it all back down again and carry on stitching. Just make sure that the fabric is nice and flat. Then lift the foot, turn it 90 degrees, and carry on stitching along that long edge on the spotty fabric. Now we're going to be coming up to the zip again. But because this zip end is closed, you want to angle the zipper edge away from you. So you don't want it facing up in the air, you want it angled away from you. Then you can start pushing the fabric by hand and using the wheel to turn it again, not using the pedal. Making sure the zip goes through when the needle is up. Then finally sew along that last short edge. Lift up the foot and snip off the threads. Snip off all of the tacking and cut off any excess spotty fabric and any loose threads that you can see. You just want to neaten it up now. You can also cut through the zip at either side using a sharp pair of scissors and trying to go between the teeth. Then snip the corners, making sure not to snip through any of the stitching. Then snip through the thread at the opening. Then put in a couple of fingers all the way through and find the hole in the zip that you made earlier. Then go all the way through to the outer fabric. Hold on to it and then pull it all the way back through the hole. Now it can be a bit fiddly, but you will soon reveal a beautiful purse that's almost finished. To neaten up even more, use the wrong end of a pencil or a wooden spoon just to poke the corners out. You can do that at the bottom corners and also the corners where the zip is. Now pull out the lining and fold over the raw edges of the opening. You can use an iron at this point to press them neatly. And we're going to be stitching all the way along that edge. So back over to the sewing machine, place the fabric on the machine and making sure those folds are nice and straight, stitch close to the edge. We're not doing a 1 centimetre seam allowance here. You want to sew all the way along that bottom edge. Then lift the foot and snip off the threads. Have a little neaten, snipping off any excess threads you can see. Then push the lining back into the purse, close up the zip, and finally give it one last press with the iron to make it lovely and crisp and beautiful. And there you go, your little ruffle purse. Ta-da!